Alright guys, so going out to the truck here. Just picked up a very special bike. This is actually one of my past customs. This one's from a couple years ago. It's a GS450 Suzuki and it is a Scrambler and it's rad. It could be radder though because I have picked it up. It's having a little bit of a running issue where it will not continue to idle. Kind of wanders and creeps. So the goal is to get this thing striking right. So we're probably going to have to either do valve adjustments or even go as far as replacing the rings, because what I'm thinking and what I've heard from some other tests is that it does have leak down on one cylinder. So anyway, follow along as I diagnose this thing and we get it fixed and we ride it and we have fun. So stick around. Hey guys, so this is an 81 GS450 Suzuki, and this is a really cool bike. I built this a couple years ago. We've gone through the engine, we have done some frame modifications in the rear, we've got different inner springs, different dampening, different shocks in the back, fabricated exhaust, bars, and a lot of little touches here. So this is a Scrambler I built for a customer, and in doing so a couple years ago, he's rode it a little bit, but he's been having an ongoing issue with it having a wandering idle. And it's something I've addressed before, I've looked at it before, and I thought I fixed it before a couple times. So it's still fighting him, and it's something that we need to make right. So I do not know what it is right now, but the purpose of this video is going to be to diagnose it and get it fixed. So the history of this bike though, with what I've done, it's a relatively low mileage bike. So I disassembled the engine. It was very clean inside and it didn't find anything that needed to be replaced. So I did adjust the valves, and I did just basically clean everything. So it still has the original pistons, still has the original rings, they gapped out fine, and it was just reassembled the best of my ability, and it fires up. It does run well. It has good power, but it just has a hanging idle. So I've played with the airbox, I've played with the carbs quite a bit, and it's been to another shop and it's had a different valve adjustment done, but still doesn't seem to be fixing the issue. Now, what I've heard from the last person who did some work on it, it's a very reputable place, somebody I trust. One of the cylinders has a lot of leak down in it, so obviously that's gonna be something I'm gonna want to focus on first. But yeah, you're gonna see I'll try to work on diagnosing this thing, get it fixed, and then we'll go take it out and have some fun with it and test it and make sure it's gonna be right for the customer. Alright, so we got the bike up on the table, and we're gonna go ahead and start just doing some preliminary checks, looking through the bike, looking over it, making sure stuff works, doesn't work. I think he's had this thing on a tender for a while, but I know he hasn't started it in a while. I don't know what a while is, but we're gonna find out. I just went ahead and I clicked it up into like third gear or whatever and just kind of pushed it forward, let the clutch out, make sure the engine can move and rotate. So clutch seems good. Power comes on. Let's see. We got our halo in the front here, and that's on all the time. Our low beam doesn't seem to be working. High beam does. Okay. Turn signal. I know this has nothing to do with making it idle, but we just want to be sure. Start tail light, brake light, I mean. Let's see. With the lights on, that acts as a running light. That works. Okay. Nothing on the starter. I just flick this over to prime real quick on the petcock just to get some fuel flowing through it. I did pull the fuel cap off, smelled the gas. It smells fine actually. Alright, let's try this again. Choke it. Probably see smoke coming off the bike. That's just from like oils and dust and stuff on the exhaust. This thing has been sitting a while, so the smoke's normal. I don't see any coming out of the pipe. Let it continue to warm up, then I'm going to go for a little ride. Just take it around the block. Alright, we're going to go take this thing for a spin. Listen and watch for maybe like how I have to modulate the throttle or how it idles or playing with the clutch. I know it has kind of an off-idle bog to it, so that could very well be you know, a culprit along with, you know, the issues that it has. But we're just going to go for a ride, try to get it, you know, just nice and warm, and see if we can get that idle to raise and duplicate, you know, what the issue is stated to be. So let's go. trying to die on me. Yep, see? I know I haven't gone that far, but it is trying to keep something to fall on its face. Now this is choke's fully off. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll try to put the choke on a little bit and see if it likes more fuel. Choke's halfway on now. Still doesn't want to idle. Ooh, it's not happy about that. Uh-oh. Actually, my fuel line, good reason to use clear line. It was empty, so I think I just need to flick this thing on reserve. Noob. Yep. Trust me, folks, I am a professional. Does it have gas in it? Okay, get this. Vacuum signal to the carbs. That's why it's not pumping fuel. Okay. Alright. Alright. That's why it was dying. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so you saw on that ride here, I lost my vacuum signal to the vacuum petcock. FYI, I hate these things. Whenever I can, I always try to put a manual petcock on it. That way it's like you know what it's set at. So I'm wondering how much of an issue this has had with tuning the bike, because you know, it goes into the side of the carb here. And it's you know, it should stay in there, but if that's creating a vacuum leak, then that can throw the idle off for sure. I'm not saying that would have anything to do with any potential leak down, but that would definitely not help in the drivability of the bike. So you saw it kept fighting me. I guess it popped out. So what was happening was when I initially went to start the bike, I just put this thing on prime. It filled the carburetor bowls up with fuel, and then I was able to just get it going. But I guess I didn't know or notice that this thing might have just been hanging off the whole time, so it wasn't giving a vacuum signal to keep continuing pumping fuel into the bowls. So that's why I made it so far, and it fizzled out, and I couldn't get it started until I put it back on prime. And then I just thought it was low on fuel, you know, so put it to reserve, did it again, and then that's when I really noticed this at that stoplight. So anyway, I'm gonna see if I can like tap that in further, get it like to where it like really wants to stay put. I'm gonna just check the plugs just to kind of see where they're at, and then we'll go ride it again. and we'll just keep riding it until we get it to duplicate exactly what's wrong with it. So part of this job, actually a very large part of this job, is being able to find information and knowing, if you don't know where to look, knowing how to find out where to look. So the biggest piece of advice I give with a lot of guys who get some vintage bikes: step one, get a service manual. So they're typically about 30 bucks, and the amount of stuff that you will eventually need to look up if you plan on working on your bike, it's the majority of it, like 95% of it, is all in here. Okay, so I use Google relentlessly, and Partzilla, and a lot of other resources, but you have to have a service manual to fall back on. So whether looking up, like, factory carburetor settings, as far as, like, how many turns out you need the screws, and like clip positions and stuff like that, and valve adjustment, it's all in here. So this is a huge part of it, is being able to have access information quickly and have it be correct. So there's Haynes, there's Climbers, it doesn't matter. You can get a factory Suzuki, Yamaha, whatever your bike is, you can get a factory service manual. But I feel like these are invaluable. So it'll save you so much time when you don't have to just sit there, and type in, like, Googling different things and searching forums and stuff. Not that that is not something I don't do, because I do that all the time for random specific info, or maybe like custom application stuff, trying to see if maybe others have done things. But for core information, definitely working on your bike, things like that, mechanical torque specs and whatnot, get a service manual. It is well worth it, and it will save you time, and it will save you headache. So what I'm doing right now with the bike is I'm just kind of picking through it and seeing if I can find any other issues. I know that the fitting here, the vacuum fitting from the petcock down into the carbs, this should still be attached to the bike, and it should just be like kind of a press fit, but it's a little loose. So that's something we're gonna have to address. And then I need to go ahead and do a compression check. I know the bike's hot right now, but we'll do a hot compression check, and then in the morning we'll do another one, cold, as well as a leak down test. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to confirm carburetor settings, like your idle or fuel mix screws. So I think those are a little bit out of whack right now. They're good to each other, but I don't think they are where they should be. So anyway, I'm just combing through the bike, looking for any little issue I can find before we really start digging in. Now, I'm not expecting to find the answer with the little stuff, but I want to make sure we eliminate all of those small things as a contributor to the bigger issue. So anyway, I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to keep reading my service manual. Get one of these. Okay, so one of the next things I want to do right now is a compression check, and the bike's hot right now. So we'll do it like this, and then tomorrow, whenever the bike's fully cool, we'll do it again. So I just picked this kit up. Well, not just. I picked it up a long time ago. I use it all the time. But gauge, ball valve, hose. You thread this into your spark plug hole. I'll show you the process here. You don't have to crank down on it, you're just compressing an O-ring. Connect your gauge. Now, to do a compression check, you need to roll the bike over full throttle, so you don't want any restrictions in the intake track, and that's going to build up cylinder pressure, and what you're reading here is going to be your cylinder pressure. So you got to kind of do this with one hand here. I'm going to go ahead and zip tie the clutch in, because you have to have that to crank it over. That way we can do this with one hand. Alright. So key on. We're going to full throttle it and hit the button until it stops climbing. we've got 120. We're going to do the exact same test again just to reconfirm our results. Full throttle. Make sure your choke is off as well. 125. I think that first one was actually 130. Now that I think about it, but that's why we repeat our tests. So this one's like 125. I'm gonna do it one more time. All right, we got up to 130 that time, so we're gonna call that 125. But we'll know immediately if we're out of the realm of reason here. Now, I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to look up the specifications for what this thing should be. Because it's not, I don't think it's too far off, but I want to know. We can't just go off of maybes here. Same thing. I'm going to write down the first result on my board here. Back. Connect the gauge. Key on. Full throttle. Crank it. See, that one immediately went up to 140. So we have a little bit of a difference here right off the bat. Alright. Do it again. 140 on the nose again. Three times, 140. Perfect example why we're using the service manual, or why I always preach these things. So the GS450, right in the book, compression specifications, 130 to 170. So we are low on the left cylinder, which would cause a weird funky air mix going into the bike and cause an idle issue. So 130 to 170, our right cylinder was okay at 140. I typically see like 150 in some of these bikes and stuff like that. So I know it's still on the slight low end for me. But maximum difference between cylinders, GS450 is 28 psi. So 25, 35, 45. So like we're within our difference here. I don't know. GS450 is 28 psi. GS400 and 425 is 14. Now that's a weird window they do there. But yeah, we do know that we are below our threshold on the left cylinder, though. All right, on to the next thing. We'll try to keep figuring this out.